I would take this opportunity to read out the mission of Toastmasters International. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. I would also want to read our District 98 mission. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. I am Area Director of H4 from Guntur Toastmasters, Toastmaster Amina, the Sergeant at Arms for today, and it is my privilege to be taking up this role. As a Sergeant at Arms, I would want that this meeting go in a really smooth manner. So I have a couple of ground rules set up, which I would request each and every one of us to abide by. Everyone is on mute. Only the current speaker will be unmuted by the Zoom master. But you can always have your video on. Instead, we would request, please have your video on throughout the session because the speaker can then look at us and interact with. You can always request you to turn off your video if you're moving somewhere or you want to take a sip of water or anything like that, because we don't want to distract our speaker. Chat option will be disabled for everyone, but you can always chat the co-hosts and host. So we have kept this option enabled just in case you have any question that pops up in your mind when our speaker is speaking. You can always text moderator or any of the co-hosts and we will take your question up. One another important rule that I want every one of us to abide by would be to please refrain from talking about sex, religion, and politics in a derogatory manner. We are here all set for the second episode of Beyond Toastmasters, an initiative started by District 98 to show how Toastmasters does not help us only within the clubs or only within the Toastmasters environment, but it has its benefits beyond Toastmasters into our professional, personal lives. It shapes us as an individual, and it definitely did shape me. I have become a better understanding person, and one thing Toastmasters taught me is to value each and everybody's opinions. In this session, we will learn how Toastmasters is beyond the Toastmasters environment, how it helps us. Without much further delay, please help me in welcoming our moderator for today's session. Our moderator for today's session, Distinguished Toastmaster Mayuri, is a Division Director of Division N. She has been in Toastmaster for the past 3.5 years. She has served as the District Chief Judge of District 98 during the term 2019 to 2020 and also as an area director during the term 2018 to 2019. When I asked her how Toastmasters helped her beyond the Toastmasters environment, she told me that she applies the evaluation technique with her professional life and on a regular basis. She also told me that it helped her become a better listener and a much attentive person. Please have a virtual applause and help me welcome our moderator for today, Distinguished Toastmaster Mayuri. Over to you, Mayuri.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Amina, for that very warm introduction. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Beyond Toastmasters. Our speaker for today is a Toastmaster who actually needs no introduction. He has been a past district director and is regularly invited to share his learning, his passion, his ideas with esteemed universities, colleges, enterprises such as IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Lucknow, Deloitte University, ISB, Infosys, World Education Forum. The list goes on. A TEDx speaker, an edupreneur because he's into education, an author, distinguished Toastmaster, Dr. Chandrasekhar DP, or Chandra, as we fondly call him, is the proud recipient of 24 national and international awards. A Bangalorean by birth, but a true Hyderabadi at heart, Chandra will share his learnings today with us from his journey with a speech titled Iceberg Illusions, Learning from My Journey. So let us welcome distinguished Toastmaster Chandrasekhar DP. Let us dispel our illusions and learn from him how to move beyond Toastmasters. Over to you, Chandra, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayuri, for that introduction. And it's nice to catch up with all of you on this Sunday evening. And I can see a lot of familiar faces. That kind of cools down the nerves. You can see some smiling faces. Sapna is giggling there. So a lot of these people who I have known, I have got this opportunity to work with, and At the same time, the best part of Toastmasters is you get to meet new people. You don't stop where you are. You always keep interacting with new people, learn about their stories, understand the journey they are taking, and that makes you more empathetic. At, at the same time, it makes you feel well connected to people, because at the end of the day, all of us know that we are social beings. We like to make connections. So that's the best part about Toastmasters. So I must thank you for this opportunity, and also wish you all, before anything, good evening. So let's get started. And when I want to start off, I think I will be failing if I don't start off with gratitude. I want to thank the District 98, my district, and I'm very proud of it. And at the same time, the leadership of District 98, past and present, and maybe future leaders, as well as all the members who are instrumental in creating this kind of opportunity for members. When COVID-19 came, things were looking very bleak. People were figuring out as to what will happen with the Toastmasters meetings. But if I have to look up and see what has happened in the last 4 to 5 months, I think the camaraderie, the bonding, and the meetings have only gone up. Because the advantage with virtual world is you don't have to restrict yourself to be part of any geography. You can be a part of every geography just if you manage the timeline. And Toastmasters know how to manage the timelines well, because for the last 1 week or so, we have been attending international conventions. So we know what we are doing, and we know how we are connecting with each other. I think that's a great benefit and a boon to all of us. And I must say that this challenge has only brought new opportunities for all of us. Having said that, I want to say today the topic or the whole context in which we are meeting is quite exciting for me. Why? Because we are not talking about education session. We are not talking about preparation for any contest or any conference. We are not talking about anything which we are used to talk in a Toastmasters setup. But we are here to talk about how we can bring the learning which we go through and which we get inside of Toastmasters to outside into our lives. And that for me was an exciting opportunity. In fact, when Manideep, the division director, approached me, I was excited only because of this flavor to it, that it is not about trying to talk about anything which we do within, but it's about our lives. And very rarely you get opportunities to talk about your life and your experiences to like-minded people, to people who don't judge you, to people who appreciate and learn from your experiences, and more importantly, people who give you an opportunity to reflect in your own experiences and in your past life. So I want to thank you all for that and joining this evening. And without much ado, I want to jump in right with a story. And I believe in stories. I believe they connect to people, and I believe they are a great platform to reflect on your life's journey. So here comes the first story for the evening. And this is when it was in 2012. Yeah, 2012. I was a new Toastmaster then. This was just after me completing, or rather, I should say, me abandoning Speechcraft halfway because of my own travels. And I did not get a chance to go through the 6 to 7 weekly sessions under Speechcraft. And for all of you who are wondering, did I join Toastmasters through Speechcraft? You're right. I joined through Speechcraft, and I was actually surfing through the newspapers on a Sunday afternoon, and I got a leaflet which said, improve your ability to speak and learn the art of crafting speeches through Speechcraft. I was inquisitive about this, so I said, okay, let's see what it is. And then I picked up my phone and dialed that number. And to my bad luck, or maybe to their good luck, they did not respond to that number. It did not get connected. I tried a couple of times, and then finally I left it, because Monday you get back to your work. Tuesday, I think, on a Tuesday afternoon, that Tuesday, I got a call from that number. They said that you tried to reach us. We got a missed call, and I did not even remember that I had called that number. And finally, long story short, one thing led to another, and then I signed up for Speechcraft. But at the same time, 4 sessions I attended, and the 5th session I dropped off because I was due to travel, and then I could not complete the program. Again, I must have told the story. So finally, again, I came back to Toastmasters thanks to a couple of people. One is Alfred Ravi Toro, a fellow member at Elan Club, and 2, Rajshekhar Mamidana, as we all know, a stand-up comic. Both of these guys came in and kind of, I can say, pestered me to join Toastmasters, to actually get into the Elan Club. So that's the story, to be a Toastmaster. Now with this, if I have to really talk about this thing, the story, what I'm referring here is in Speechcraft, as we all know, we go through projects. Project 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to call it, speech 1, 2, 3, 4. When I was going through this, I had finished my 4th project, which is how to say it, and then I dropped off. So the one of the hook or the carrot which they gave me to join Toastmasters was, they said, you have already done 4 speeches. You just have to do 6 more speeches and you will be a competent communicator. A certificate will come to you. And I was very excited, because certificate matters. At the end of the day, all of us know deep down, certificates are a credibility or an increasing credibility tool. So I said, okay, fine, let's do it. Now, I was supposed to go in and give my speech. And they said that you have to start off with an icebreaker, because people in the club should know you. People in the club should also understand who you are. I said, fair enough. That's a logical thing. So I'll go ahead and repeat my icebreaker. So I went ahead and I repeated my icebreaker. Talking about myself was never a no-brainer. So I just went ahead and spoke, finished it. Then that time, the then president, he came and said, you speak very well for an icebreaker. I don't think you have a problem. So can you repeat your CC4? That is how to say it, because that's when people will also get to know you, and then you can take over. You don't have to do anything. Just repeat what whatever you're given in Speechcraft. I said, that also sounds like a fair deal. I'll go ahead and I'll repeat. So I went ahead and I repeated my CC4 in the subsequent meetings. And that's where the real thing starts. So this guy, the president, Gopinath, Toastmaster Gopinath, a good friend even now, but is not in Toastmasters. He was my evaluator, and he looked at my speech, and after evaluating my speech, he made this statement in front of all of them. And that was, I would strongly recommend you to repeat this project, as you do not fulfill the objectives of the speech. I didn't even understand what he is trying to tell me. I was sitting in the audience. It was this guy who told me to actually repeat without doing anything, whatever I've done in Speechcraft. And I was actually doing a favor to him, courtesy, that this guy said yes, and the president, so I didn't want to say no to him. So I just went ahead and did the speech in front of 20, 30 odd people. And this guy has the audacity to stand up and tell me to repeat the speech right then in my face in front of those people. I was furious. I didn't even listen to the next word in the meeting. I was completely shut off. I was like, what the hell? And I went to my mentor, and then I said, this is not done. This is betrayal right from the word go. You cannot do this. And then they said, no, you stay back. Let's discuss this. And I said, I'm not going to stay back. And this is the the last time I'm going to come into this club for the meeting. And I walked out. This is true story. Right? Because let me give you another background. Even in 2012, I was the chief operating officer of Jain Group of Institutions. Back then, I became CEO in 2016 when I was the district director. But even in 2012, I was number 2 in my organization. Now, very rarely number 2 in an organization get to hear the word no, repeat, rejected, right? You hear, yes, sir, all right, sir, done, sir. So I'm used to that kind of responses here. And when somebody who I don't even know properly stands up in front of 30 odd people and gives me this feedback and he says, you'll have to repeat because you failed to fulfill the objectives of the project, I was like, I'm not doing anything what you want me to do. It took me 2.5 weeks to actually calm down. I was furious. And after 2.5 weeks, again, the same 2 guys who actually laid the trap to get me into Toastmasters got to me. And then they said, let's have a meeting at Chocolate Room. That was our regular spot in Madhapur. So let's have a meeting at Chocolate Room and you'll have to allow Gopi also to come. I said, no way, it's not going to happen because you are going to bring back all those memories to me. They said, no, it's not about any memories. It's about patching up, right? You don't have to come to Toastmasters, but you will have to at least patch up and let's be friends outside Toastmasters. I said, fair enough. So I went and I did not even look him in the eye. I didn't even want to respond or acknowledge that he was present over there. And then he started the conversation. He said, and listen to this. He started off by saying, so is your speech ready? I am like, this guy does not even have the courtesy to even ask me or say sorry to me. But this guy is straight away talking to me as if he has not done any mistake. And he was right. Because where he was coming from, he was not thinking that he's trying to boss over me or this is an ego battle or this is something which is kind of correcting me. Where he was coming was, I want to help this guy because he can speak so well. If he can understand the nuances of every speech and the variety involved in every speech, he can go on to become a good speaker. He was just doing the absolute role of an evaluator any evaluator is supposed to do. He's not even trying to add Gopi's flavor to it, which I failed to see. Long story short, I was not in a mood to understand, but then the realization comes in. And the realization comes in thanks to Rajshekar Mamidana and Alfred and even to Gopi. They opened the job of an evaluator or the role of an evaluator. And they said, listen, this is what is the role of an evaluator. And your speech do not fulfill alliterations, similes, metaphors, triads. You just went ahead and you spoke like how you normally speak. And if the project is asking you to have similes and metaphors and alliterations and triads and you're not doing it, you're just using jargons from the word go till the last minute, how am I supposed to clear you? Would you do it in your school when the student has not finished his answer script and you just pass him just because he appeared for the exam? Will you do that or will you tolerate your teacher doing it? That was a metaphor there. By the way, if you notice, they gave a metaphor to me right there. And they said, this is exactly what we wanted to tell you. Now, if you're offended that we told you what you actually were supposed to do, then I don't think I have a sorry for you. And if you're offended that I told this in front of 30 odd people in the club, again, I don't have a sorry for you because Toastmasters is a place where people don't judge you. Toastmasters is a place where people are allowed to fail. Toastmasters is a place where people help you become better. We just did that. We did not live stream your speech and my rejection on Facebook. Now that was a blow in my face. I said, of course, I did not accept anything in front of them. I did still wanted to put a brave front in front of them. I went back home, but then I was reflecting everything what they said. They said, it is so true. I felt it is so true. I mean, I had never been told that this is wrong till then in a public setting. But what is important is they take pride in telling you that you are not up to the mark in a very polite, friendly, and a supporting manner. That was the day, friends, I was hooked to Toastmasters. Because if you can correct somebody with dignity, and make them see the point for their own benefit, I think that in itself is worth its weight in gold. That is valuable information. Do you agree with me? And if you agree with me, this is where you will stop listening to my story and react to me on the chat window, where you will share whatever you want to share on the chat window. Yes, I want it to be interactive. And I know this is on live streamed on Facebook. So if you guys are on Facebook watching it, please put those comments there as well. Maybe I'll go back and watch it and see how you will respond. Let me give you a second for doing that, and then we get to the next part. All right, I think you're searching where the chat window is. Please do that. And let's get started with the next part. Now, I'm talking today to all of you, and my topic is the iceberg illusion, right? Now, before we get to the iceberg illusion, I want to demonstrate one particular point, which is a direct derivative of this particular story, the experience I shared with you, right? So let me share my screen and start off with whatever I have to share with you. And here we go. Just a second. Can you see my screen? All right, thank you. So if you can see my screen, I'm sure you must have, some of you at least on this meeting must have heard of this particular model, and which is called as Johari window. Yeah, has anybody heard of this? Great. Now, there is no rocket science to Johari. There are two different individuals, Joe and Harry. They brought their name together and they made it Johari window. So if those of you are worrying or wondering what is Johari, that's it. It's not Spanish, it's not Italian. Now, what I want you to focus on is each one of us have these four quadrants in our life. They're self-explanatory, as you can see on the screen. You can see the arena, which is known to others and known to self. That's the playing field we normally play in our lives. Then we have the blind spot, where it's not known to self, but known to others. Let me give you an example. In my story, my inability to take feedback, constructive feedback, was my blind spot. My inability to take the feedback or rejection for my own benefit was my blind spot. Okay. Now the facade or the mask, not the mask which we are wearing because of COVID. That's not the mask I'm talking about. The mask which we often put in front of people, not known to others, but known to self. Right? I know my truth, but people do not see that because I very cleverly disguise it. That's the mask and that's the facade. Now the last quadrant, which is the most important quadrant, and there lies our iceberg. There lies our iceberg, is the unknown quadrant, where you don't know certain things about yourself and people will not know those things about yourself. So it's not known to self and not known to others. That's the unknown quadrant. All right. Now, before we get into the iceberg, I have to tell you a few things. And what I would suggest to you is listen to this very carefully, because it's okay. Even if you drop off after this point, this is the takeaway from this particular call. So listen to this carefully. And I want you to have any questions. If you have any questions, to shoot at me right after this before we get to the iceberg. Is that okay? Right? I can see some faces. So if you can give me a thumbs up, then I will say that that's a feedback. All right. Thank you. Okay, so here, as I talk this, reflect on your life. Reflect about your own life. Now, I want you to answer the first question. How can I move from this part to this part? How can I move? That is known to self to not known to self. How can I move? And give me simplistic answers. Don't give me jargons, huh? CC4. Yeah, somebody unmuted. Go ahead. Okay, take feedback. That's right. Feedback. Good.
By listening.
Jaya, by listening, yes. So I'll make it more simple. By ask. Some people in Toastmasters give you without even asking. That's okay. Fair enough. But ask. How you can move from known to self to not known to self is ask. Now the same thing. How will you move from this arena to this arena? Or rather, let me rephrase it. How will you reduce this arena and increase this arena? That means, how will you cut down the mask? How will you pull down the mask? By applying feedback, by expressing, yeah, by sharing. So let's simplify it again. By telling. Fair enough? Yeah, you got the right answer, Mayuri. By sharing, by telling. Tell about yourself and please be genuine. Please be genuine and share as much as possible to the people so that they don't see the mask, but they see the true you, right? So that's the second part. Now, when you have asked and taken feedback and shared and given your expression, this portion becomes bigger. Fair enough? And that portion becomes bigger, but then there is a small catch here. This. How will you get here? Because this, by asking, it will increase. This, by telling, it will increase. But this is a gray area. Do you agree with me? Yeah. Anybody can tell me how this will increase, where your unknown area becomes less and less and known area becomes more and more. How? How? Learning from others. Okay. Fair enough. That's one perspective. I'm still looking for an answer. Being conscious, mentoring, being open-minded only by trying out things, reading books, experimenting. Fair enough. Heuristic learning. No jargons, please. Ready to fail. Okay. Looking within. All right. Stop, 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 stop. Now just go back the previous few chat messages which you have seen. Just go back those words, including the heuristic learning word, and tell me, will all of that happen as a consequence by being in Toastmasters or no? Yeah?
Yes.
Everything effortlessly, sometimes helplessly, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes you don't even want to do it, but it happens in the framework of our organization. Yeah? That's the reason this organization has survived for decades and now almost a century. Yeah. I mean, just imagine, okay, I'm talking totally tangential from the topic what I have to talk to, but I'm a business guy and I'm an edupreneur. Mayuri has introduced me like an entrepreneur and edupreneur. So I need to do justice to my designation, to my profile. Let me tell you this. Think of one organization where the governing body changes every 18 to 24 months. Think of one organization where people are not paid to do their governance. Think of one organization which is spread across 150 plus countries, so many nationalities, so many languages, but still growing at a rate of 7.5 to 8%. Think of one organization. If something is not right, these three things which I told you would not happen. And look at the consistency with which this organization has performed over and over again. Yeah. That's the beauty of this organization. And keeping that part and coming back to the topic, that is how this entire program is designed. The program is designed for you so that you can reduce this part of your life and increase this part of your life. The next, what I'm going to talk about is all about how, after understanding this little incident and this little secret, I was able to explore deeper in my life, in my iceberg. So I'm going to stop here and see if you have any questions so that I can go to the next topic or the next point which I have to present, which is about the iceberg. So it's time for you guys to ask me any questions. You can unmute and ask, or you can even chat, type it in the chat window. About this, about Johari, don't ask me about my life.
So I think I'll just, I'll speak on behalf of all the attendees here, Chandra. When you mentioned about the blind spot and the inability to realize our shortcomings is where we are failing and we want to share. So how would you suggest that we come to it, to find our blind spot, to accept it? What would you suggest? How to find that spot? So it's
Great
not
question. Great question. I think even Rupnar, Venkatesh Rupnar has also asked the same question. How can I know which I don't know?
The same
right?
thing. Yes.
Yeah. So I think there are three things which you should do. And if I have to give you the 3 bullet points, pretty much synthesizing the answers which were given in the chat window. Number 1 is others' observation about you. Okay. Be very, very conscious. Keep your antenna open when people are commenting and observing you and sharing their feedback, not inside the Toastmasters setup, even in your life. Some people tell you certain things, and the worst problem, I tell you, the biggest problem today is, at least Toastmasters are better off, but normally we don't know how to take a compliment. We don't know how to take a compliment. The first thing which we do when anybody gives you a compliment is they say, you are mocking at me, you're pulling my leg. That is neutralizing the whole damn observation. Don't do that. Pause for a while. Say whatever you want to say. You want to be grateful for them, say thank you. You don't believe them, say get lost. That's all fine. But give it a couple of seconds. Pause for a while and listen to them and internalize what are they trying to actually tell you. Because I believe in this, there is no smoke without fire. If somebody is talking to you something, there may and there must be some reason for it. Life is all about cause and effect, right? So observations of others observation is one way, right? The second thing, shared discovery. When I say shared discovery, your family, your friend circle, your inner circle, you keep talking to them and discover. Toastmasters, great platform. You know, you can, some people say, I keep hearing this in every session, oh, we don't know how to do humorous speeches. We don't know how to crack jokes and make people laugh, right? That's your opinion. Wait a second and ask what others think of you. What others think of you. Your mentor is a good option. Your VP education at the club is a good option. Your fellow members in the club is a good option. Or your friends in the Toastmasters circle is a good option. Or others outside Toastmasters is also a good option where shared discovery can happen. That's the second thing. Now, the third thing is self-discovery, reflection. All of you have heard of this proverb which says, action speaks louder than words, right? We oftentimes fail to see our own action. Just take a second and think of at least one action which has surprised yourself, where you have surprised your own self. Just take a second and think of one action which has surprised you. I'm sure you can think of more than one, but I want you to just think of one at least. And once you have discovered that, go a little more deeper. When I say go a little more deeper, what I'm asking you to do is actually reflecting on why did you do what you did? Why did you do what you did? Because when you start reflecting, you will start hitting the why. Why did I do it? And when I say why, that gives you a phenomenal discovery of your own self. Do you agree with me? Because there is no question here of not believing somebody, because it is your action which you're reflecting. You're not reflecting on my action. You're not reflecting on somebody outside. You're reflecting on your own action. And that is a great opportunity for you to come to the unknown spot. So I've given you three things: shared discovery, or the first one is observation, others' observation of you. Second is shared discovery. And third is self-discovery, which is reflection. Is that okay? All right. So I think with this, we can come to the next part. And here, we will talk about the iceberg illusion. Okay. So I'll have to share my screen for that, and then we will. Okay, you can see my screen now? All right, great. So now we talk about iceberg illusion. And when I talk about iceberg illusion, let me make this big, because we are going to talk only about this for the whole of this evening. Okay, so let's start with the obvious. What do you see on the screen?
An iceberg.
An iceberg, right? So that's pretty obvious there. Okay. Yeah, somebody said the iceberg that Titanic hit. I don't know about that, but I know that it's an iceberg. But yes, for all of us in India, the memory, as long as iceberg is concerned, especially those of us who are in our mid-30s, is Titanic. Okay, because that's when we actually woke up to the fact what a havoc an iceberg can create in anybody's life, right? So having said that, all of us know the characteristic of an iceberg. We see only a portion of it. You're right, Ketan. Iceberg is what is seen outside is much, much insignificant compared to what is hidden inside. And I want to directly put a metaphor to our life. And our life, human life, you and me, our life is a manifestation of an iceberg. Because here we understand that a lot of things are hidden inside us, but there are only few which are outside. Let's start with a couple of things. Mayuri, I have noted down your comment. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So if you look at this, that's the above sea level, and you have skills on top and actions. Okay, so if you look at the sea level, above that where iceberg is visible, you have skills and actions. Now you come below that. Skills and actions, we have spoken enough already. Now we come down, you come down below that, and there you have emotions. And below that you have stories, you have beliefs, and finally you have values. The tip of the iceberg at the bottom is where your value system is. And I think that's where you need to actually catch hold of it, because let me tell you this, your attitudes, your skills, and your knowledge originate from the value system. Your beliefs and your stories and your emotions originate again from your value system. In fact, I want to pause here and take you all to 2015, 2016. I talk about right way leadership. And I spoke about the values. Toastmasters organization also speaks highly and heavily on values, on the integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And see how, despite so many people coming and going, so many people changing and changing hands like a relay race, the organization is consistently and continuously pursuing its North Star, which is to serve the member, right? So what I would like to tell you here is the values which are at the bottom of this particular iceberg is what defines you. Now you need to list down, and it's a good idea. It's a good idea to list down certain values. For example, if I have to share my example, if you ask me what are my values are: one, sense of satisfaction, achievement, fun, integrity, yeah, being kind to people. These are some of the values which I put a premium on. Yeah? Courage, responsibility. These are my values. So why? Values will give you a direction. Any action you take, that's a manifestation at the above sea level, up what is visible. But the reason why you take that action is at the bottom, is at the real bottom. I'll give you an example. I know we have to wind up in the next 3 to 4 minutes, so I'll just give you a simple example. I always believed that to get success, you need to work hard, right? And that's what we always believed. Why? I did not know, because I have heard that, people said that, and I've learned that. And I've always put Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Abdul Kalam, and Swami Vivekananda as my role models. So whenever I read about them in their biographies or autobiographies, I only figured out that they were hardworking people, 12 to 18 hours, 20 hours, they work hard. And I said, I will blindly adopt that in my life and I'll work hard. But recently, like few years ago, I realized this, that if you want to be successful, you don't have to work hard only. Because the belief here was, I will work 12 hours and I'll make it happen. No, because the references and the repetitions which I have been telling in my life, thanks to my value system, was success was my value, satisfaction was my value, achievement was my value. But the belief I had was I have to work hard to be successful. Now I changed my references. I still have them as my role models, but I looked at others. And I looked at others like Warren Buffett. Today it's his birthday. I looked at others like, say, Bill Gates. I looked at others like J.R.D. Tata or Ratan Tata. And then I said, do they really work as hard as I think they should work to make that kind of money? Or they work smart? They empower people. They make people achieve goals which internally achieve their goals. And that's when I realized that the values are still the same, but the beliefs were different. So today, you don't have to work hard in terms of hours to directly proportion that to success, but you need to understand that the value still can remain the same, but you need to make it happen in an alternative way. So your references and the repetition, what you do, is what takes you different levels. In fact, I do a great level of deep diving on this value clarification and belief clarification in my other sessions, but that's not the pursuit of this particular program. So here I'm talking to you only about the iceberg illusion. Remember this, and this is my conclusion. On the top, you have skills and actions, and we all think in Toastmasters we are focusing on improving the skills by the way we act, which is fair enough. But then deep down, you have emotions, you have stories, you have beliefs, and you have values. So that is what I would like to tell you. And I want to conclude with one small little story, a last little story from my own life. Now, when we are preparing for contests, when we are preparing for contests, this thing which happens to you happens to everyone. The story which you tell in your mind, and that story can be of empowering story or a limiting story. I told a limiting story to myself. I said, you know what? I don't think I can win the contest with this speech. And then I went on repeating it so many times in my mind, I could not see winning it. And it is my true story. In 2014, when I went into the division level, it happened twice, one at the district level at evaluation contest and the division level at the international speech contest. I came second. I had podium finish, but I never won the title. Why? Because the story which I kept telling is, I don't think I can win. And where is it coming from? It's coming from my value system. Be kind. Be kind. Can you see the direct connection? I don't say that that value is wrong, but that value got me where I am. I've got success also by being kind. I'm not denying that. But what I'm trying to tell you is the value clarification is that much more important. Right? So with this, I would like to say the iceberg illusion in our life is much more than what we think. Don't just get carried away with the skills and the actions which you see on the surface. Go a little deeper for your emotions, for your stories, for your beliefs and the values. So with this, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and back to the moderator, and let's see if we have some questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chandra, for that. And yes, something very akin to what you just said. If there's one Toastmaster who goes and wins at the World Championship, if he can, so can I. It is as simple as that. Thank you so much. And I'll take a very quick, we had a couple of questions that we had from our guests. One question that has come up from Mahesh Puranam from RIL Toastmasters Club, Mumbai. He wants to know, how do you know that this is a goal or an achievement, if this is a goal worth fighting for or worth pursuing? What makes you persevere in times of ambiguity, in times of turbulence, and not wander off?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. You said Ramesh, right? Ramesh is the person who asked the question.
Mahesh Puranam.
Mahesh, good question. And I think the straight answer to that is from where I ended now, values. Because when you align your actions to your values, remember the iceberg, you are seeing action on the top, but the value is at the bottom. And if this is aligned, if this is clearly aligned, then you don't have any confusion. So every time you are in a dilemma where should I do this, should I not do this, should I pursue this, should I not pursue this, I think you need to pause and go back to the value system. Whatever may be the values, you need to ask that question. Is this something which is aligned to my values? And if it is, then go ahead, because let me tell you this, once the alignment is there, then your beliefs will fall accordingly. Your energy comes in place automatically. That means your emotions are in alignment, and finally your actions will be in alignment. So this is what I would like to answer.
Right. And so in as a follow-up to this question, Chandra, there was one question that came from Meghna Mehta from Ahmedabad Toastmasters Club. And she says, and now particularly because we're talking about values and beliefs, and which are at the lower end, the invisible part of our system, how and why is rather the question. Why should one pursue a DTM?
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, I'm glad somebody asked it. Thanks, Meghna, for that. See, why you should pursue DTM? Let me tell you my reason. I don't know about why people pursue DTMs, but my reason is I don't leave anything which I start in between. I don't leave anything which I start in between. See, you may get delayed, but you cannot deny yourself. That's a big thing. For me, it's a big no. Otherwise, think 100 times before. Let me tell you this. When in 2016, I was naturally set to be the district director because I had finished my Lieutenant Governor marketing and then PQD, and that time the district was new. Then 2016, I became the district director. But around the same time, I was promoted at my workplace. That was unexpected, into CEO. I already mentioned that. And at the same time, there is another organization called Young Indians. And I went on to become the chairperson for the Hyderabad chapter of Young Indians. So 2016 was kind of like the turning point here in my life, where I was sitting on top of 3 different institutions or organizations which have clearly defined purposes. My organization, Jain Group of Institutions, in fact, I say the 3 I's of my life: JGI, TI, and YI. Yeah. So, and I was there. But that means I cannot say that I have taken it up and I'll say, let it be. No, I have to give my best. So you cannot stop anything which you have started. So again, I go back to my values, and my value system was achievement, fulfillment. So when I say I want to achieve and I want to be fulfilled, I want to feel fulfilled, I need to do it. And when you get fulfilled in a Toastmasters chart of progression is when you become a member, is the day when you finish your DTM. Right. So
I hope, yes, I'm sure that does answer the question that Meghna asked. One last question, Chandra, before I know we're running short on time. Nancy D'Souza has asked this question. We undermine someone's ability due to preconceived notions, prejudices, preferences. So which quadrant does this circumference in your Johari chart?
So, yeah. So Nancy, the question is, we often judge people, and normally we undermine their potential and their capabilities. And because of that, we need to understand, where do we fall? You fall in the quadrant number 2 for others. What is that? Remember, I said the quadrant number 2 was about you don't know, but others know about you. Okay, so for me, let me give you this example in a realistic way. So if I am, or rather Nancy is giving observation to me, Nancy is actually helping me. Even though he's giving me negative observation, he's helping me to reduce my unknown box. Are you with me? To reduce my unknown box. But what Nancy is doing is he's trying to undermine me by giving negative observation, even though he has not validated the observation. See, I may have negatives, but if you have validated it, then that becomes a positive to me, because like what Gopi did, he undermined me by said, repeat the project. Because he has validated and said that these objectives are not matching to what you did. But if he just took out of ego and said, oh, you're a COO, I'm the president of the club, I will show you what I should show you now. Come on here, you play according to my tunes and I'm going to make you repeat. That's undermining somebody's ability just because you have not validated it. So you fall in the second quadrant for others. That's my answer.
Right. Thank you, Chandra. The questions are many. Trust me, there is so much to discuss, but we are running short on time. And so I would like to really thank you on behalf of all the attendees here for motivating us, for sharing with us your learnings, and especially the iceberg illusion that we have. And to express a formal vote of thanks, I would now like to invite another distinguished Toastmaster who was, and I use the word was, an ambivert till she joined Toastmasters. She says she used to retreat into a cocoon, into a shell, once she was off the limelight. But Toastmasters taught her to just be, to be present wholly and completely on stage as well as off the stage. Please help me invite District Leader, Club Growth Director for District 98, Distinguished Toastmaster Sapna Ori. Over to you, Sapna.
Thank you so much, Mayuri. So anyone who hears me, when I am on a Toastmaster stage, I'm a very, very different person. The moment I just step down, I still run away. And when this comes to being ambivert, trust me, my biggest problem, I guess, is getting disconnected. Whenever I have something that I'm not able to handle in my life, which we all have our ways of dealing with it. For me, it's the disconnect, and I disconnect from everybody, from family, from friends. The only thing, when I come back and I try and do, is talk about it. As Chandra said, you have to share your stories, and this is that platform wherein you get to share your stories. I have shared so many stories, from my heartbreaks to my breakups to my losing my jobs, failing in something or the other that I do, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And this platform has given me that trust and that non-judgmental feeling that no matter what I say, somewhere or the other it always touches somebody, and they always come back and say, oh, you know what, your story was really motivating. And then I realized that it's not only me. My problem is not the bigger one in the world. Everybody goes through the same. It's just that you need someone to listen to you. And what good if you have 20, 30 people in a room just listening to you, and then they come back and they just say that you were inspiring. I think it just gives you a little more motivation and nudge to move on in life and start what you started and not just end. One more story is what I would like to share today. When I became the area director in 2017-18, and we were in Indore conference and we had our deck happening, Chandra asked that one question when he was taking a training: why did you become an area director? And I just raised my hand and I said, just because I have to complete my DTM, I will have to be an area director. There's no other way. And then he went on to talk about service leadership. He's like, just because you're there and just because you want to achieve your area director, you've taken up this role. But the whole intent is that you have to serve the people. I did not understand it then, but 3 years after that, today, when I know that I have taken up this position of club growth director, I just innately it just comes to you that you start serving your members. This is the value system that I have learned over the last 3 years from my journey when I became the first area director. Then I became a DTM. Yes, that was, and after 2 years of me being an area director, I don't think DTM was a priority because I really feel DTM is a feeling. It's a value that comes inside of you. It's not the designation. It's not the plaque really matters when you look at it. It's a pride, but then it becomes a feeling. It becomes part of you wherein you just want to go ahead and share whatever you've learned over these years from everyone around you and what you will learn with everybody as well going forward. So it's always a treat, Chandra, to listen to you. Trust me, I mean, you're one of my favorite people, humans industry 98. It's always a treat. So thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful session today. And I would like to also go ahead and request our Zoom master to please share the presentation because there are a lot of Toastmasters behind the scene who've been working relentlessly to make this event a success today. And here it goes. All right, so our squad for episode 2, our design and public relations team, is it possible for everyone to get onto their cameras? And if the Zoom master can quickly spotlight as well, I'm not sure, but I think everybody should be on camera to. So we have Cyril Thomas from CKM Toastmasters. I saw Cyril here. Alpha Mary is also here from TCS Synergy Toastmasters. Content manager is Megha Shrikar from TCS Maitri Synergy Park. Zoom master and timer Shiva Teja from PSC MR Toastmasters. Meghna Abhineni from SVECW Speech Weavers Toastmaster. Santhi Nikhila from SRKR Toastmasters, and Mansa from PSCMR Toastmasters. Do we have everyone out here? Guys, just turn on your videos, be there, let everyone see you and acknowledge the hard work that you've put in to get this thing up and running. Beautiful event today. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Mayuri. Thank you, Manideep, for giving me an opportunity to be here. Thank you, KK. Thank you, Amina, and everybody else. And thank you so much, Chandra, for being here and sharing your thoughts. As always, you're an inspiration and you will always keep inspiring a lot of us in the district, no matter what happens. And would love to hear you again. Whatever is the remaining part of the iceberg theory, I would love to hear it again. And I hand it back over to Mayuri.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Sapna. And with that, we would like to now, I would like to hand over to our Sergeant at Arms today, that is Toastmaster Amina. Over to Amina to formally conclude.
Yeah, hi Mayuri. Amina has left the meeting.
Oh, all right. She has a bad connection.
I request all of you to please switch on your videos so Zoom Master can capture this moment.
the count of three, pose of give your pose. 3, 2, 1, pose. Yeah, very good. Done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I now officially end the meeting. Thank you. Thank you all.